came over here and started to work immediately with Lockheed. His name was Subakov, I believe is his name. Anatoly Alexei Subakov. This fellow was also a pioneer and such. His name was Paul Benowitz. He was going to go public with the UFO and the alien agenda thing. He was a CIA pilot. He was also with the U.S. Air Force. Of course, they couldn't let that happen, and so they stuffed him in the trunk of a car one night, took him off to a mental institution, and made him into a mental vegetable. He can't even write his own name today. If it wasn't for a brother who spent $1 million and a sister looking for him, he'd probably still been rotting away in some institution somewhere. Okay. What we've got here, like I mentioned, is basic alien technology that was adapted for us. Paul Benowitz, once again, he developed the shape of this aircraft, as well as how the bombs were to be dropped. He was also into other projects through Los Alamos. This is in Saudi Arabia, and I'll tell you a few statistics about this during the Gulf War.
Would you like to borrow this?
No, sure. Thank you. During the Gulf War, this particular aircraft had 4 large bombs underneath. They were called smart bombs, cruise missiles, and also rockets and machine gun fire, Vulcan cannon style, but even more advanced than that. I don't really know quite about that. There was one pilot that sat in here. He literally had to be crammed in, actually right up in here. They had to literally wedge him in there, and took a certain weight and size of individual in this aircraft. And all the Computronics was made by Mitsubishi Computronics and Heavy Electric Industries. The jets were both turbine as well as nuclear powered for extremely high flight. By the way, the smart bombs that were used in the Gulf War, 58 aircraft ran 3,706 sorties or missions. 100% of the bombs hit the target. 100% of the rockets hit the target. Shot up, completely destroyed the Iraqi air defense systems. It was a 100% system. Only one aircraft suffered one small hit, or actually where a missile just barely missed it, and it just chipped out part of that, but the aircraft was able to make it home. It was a minor repair. The aircraft's back in service. But anyway, now there's some 179 of these built. They're building about one every other month, thereabout. They're a $208 million aircraft, while this one here is about a $188 million aircraft, and it's fraught with problems. Although recently, the F-117A, Black Jet as they're known as, originally housed at Nellis Air Force Base, Tonopah Test Range, S4, Groom Lake, you name it. These aircraft employed a 3-dimensional radar. Everybody else's radar was 2-dimensional. The Black Jets employed a 3-dimensional radar, which is far superior. And Computronics 2 also had a Cray system to analyze bombing targets, and it was also the first aircraft where the pilot wore a helmet. It's called psychoenergetic range finding. It's a copy from the Russian technology, Soviet-Russian technology, where a pilot can think in his own language and arm his weapons and pick his target from his computer. still employed in a second and third generation. It's extremely accurate and cannot be faked. In other words, if another pilot decides to commit sabotage and jump in the cockpit, the plane won't even begin to run, let alone any of the missiles firing or anything else. So it's kind of a unique system. It's kind of like the signature gun, and of course we've heard about those in different movies and whatnot. Now we have the Aurora, which is a transatmospheric vehicle, and the Aurora, there's 4 of them currently being tested. I know it's been refuted too by a couple of local gun shows before my lecture. He says, well, the Aurora doesn't exist, Bill, you know that. I said, well, really? I says, well, I guess you don't think this exists either. And that was a picture, that was this map. He said, no, that doesn't exist either. And I said, really? Interesting. I suggest you have a seat and learn something.
Don't they have one surpassing the Aurora?
Yes, there are 2 other prototypes that are small space shuttles capable of speeds in excess of 40,000 miles an hour. And plus, we also employed 29 prototypes of flying saucer and are successful in piloting those at up to 90,000 miles an hour in the atmosphere without burning up. That's doing something, because when you push, you go beyond Mach 3, actually beyond Mach 2.7, you ionize the air around it, and you cause the elements of the air to actually catch fire, and you need a force field around that system to exceed Mach 3 or Mach 4 without burning up, because you'll be as hot as a glowing meteorite coming in at about 30 or 40,000 degrees. Anyway, the Aurora, there's 4 of them flying. They fly day and night. They have 12 people in it as a crew. They can have a skeleton crew of as few as 6. They can basically leave Tonopah Test Range at 7 o'clock in the morning, do a complete loop around Russia and China, take all the pictures. They're predominantly a spy plane. They can take pictures, come back for lunch. That's how rapid it is. They attain from basically zero. Once again, this aircraft, and this aircraft are anti-lifting bodies. They are not conventional winged aircraft. A flying saucer theoretically is a circular wing. These are not. These are anti-lifting bodies. In other words, it takes an incredible amount of speed before they're able to take off. This is once again, this is all part of the one world government type system. I try to stay away from the political end, but it's kind of like the one world government system. Take over the planet, and hopefully we don't have to tell the people of the planet what the alien agenda is. The alien agenda was probably never meant, the aliens never meant that we were going to alter the bargain, but the aliens were the ones back in 1954 who cut a treaty with us saying that, well, we'll give you a list of the people that we implant and the cattle we mutilate, and we'll give you the reason why and everything. Of course, that never happened. And they kept altering the bargain until finally, in 1979, in Dulce, New Mexico, I was involved in that operation. We had gone down there to build an auxiliary base in the southern end of Dulce, New Mexico, already existing base on Archuleta Mesa. And lo and behold, when we drilled down, we found aliens were already in there, and have been in there for some time. I can tell you, when you're standing, say, as I am here, to where this gentleman is over here, and that's an alien gray who's pretty much 7 feet tall, and the meanest looking bastard you ever saw, and not looking like a human being, you kind of get petrified. And as an engineer, of course, I didn't carry a regular big clunky 45 or anything, because it would get in the way. I carried tools and other kinds of things on my belt, and I always carried a small pistol, Walter PPK with a 9-shot clip, 380. And I emptied one clip.